Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast and YouTube production. Tonight is August 18th, 2015, the Ides of August, if I'm not mistaken. What I normally do is interview the best and brightest in the atheist slash secularist slash coolest movement, but tonight we're in for something a little bit different. Quickly, thanks to Christopher Maley and Corinne, now Maley, for being on 2 weeks ago and actually getting hitched yesterday, as they promised, on August 17th. In case you're listening in the distant future. So let's get started. Tonight, we have an unusual show with a very unusual cast. Think the aliens and the Mos Eisley scene in Star Wars, but less attractive. We have the ringleader, Paul Sading, otherwise known as White Bread, Highlighter, the White Devil, and the Pompous of Love. Brian Bristol is in the house, and that's a hilarious character name. Jay Crawford comes in a town where the football team is called the Drillers, so I already love him. And we have Deb McTaggart, in-your-face Flanders, because I've actually met her and hugged her before. So let's go around the horn and everybody give a little bit of an introduction.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I like to party.
Nice, nice.
The fact that fell flat in this room really concerns me, since it's a very comical movie and nobody got it because she kind of reacted.
It's okay, Paul. We'll write the jokes.
Yeah. Tell me you write his words for him. All right, we'll go with Brian next. It's just left to right from what I see.
Backwards. Hi, I'm Brian, and I'm drinking. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm working on it, though. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Deb, this is your third appearance on the Zachrilege Cast, so say hello. You should get a special prize.
Hello. I should, absolutely. I don't know what, but you'll be creative, I'm sure. And I'm the only Canadian in the ranks here, so yes, you can laugh at my accent because everyone else does, so why not? So,
Yeah.
Yes. That would be the new Mrs. Maley's favorite.
Definitely. And Jay, say hello.
Hello. Jay Crawford, and this is my first interview for anything. So.
Excellent. It's going to be fun. So, Paul, you're the guy who got this thing started, so is it nice to finally speak in your real voice, honestly and metaphorically?
Yes, it actually is. It is quite nice. Even the fact that I teamed up with people like Jay and Deb and Brian, this has actually been enjoyable so far. I wouldn't have thought it initially, but I'll tell you what, man, it's actually been enjoyable.
We're all surprised. We're all very surprised.
There's a pull quote. So, Brian, did Paul get you on the show with a promise to pay you by the voice, and how disappointed are you?
I'll start off by saying I'm very disappointed. And no, I think I did one little thing for Paul for a piece he did for Rafe, and we had talked from there. And I love writing, and he was looking for people, so I was excited to jump on the project. And now I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed. So much later. Well, Jay, did Paul just recite lines from Tombstone to get you to participate?
I just remember there was a lot of begging, pleading, some moments on his knees, but other than that, it was pretty easy.
I am pretty easy, just for fun.
Doesn't take much, huh?
Not at all.
Just a nice bottle of booze, and you're in.
There you go.
I've worked with him enough, I can vouch for that.
Ain't that the true sister? Digital high five.
So, Deb, was it tough for you to get into character and play an American on this show?
No, because I have Americans following me all over the damn place. I don't know why, but they're everywhere. And so I kind of like soak it in through osmosis, I guess. And so, yeah, no, it was, I mean, let's face it, it's not much of a challenge to be an American anyway.
Nice.
So I just want to say thank you to all of y'all for finally putting together a funny version of the HBO show, The Leftovers. That show was such a bummer, and only 2% of people disappeared, and according to this show, well, it seems to be a higher level. So what was the idea behind it, just getting this, like, I want to do a comedy show because the world is kind of not funny?
You know, it's funny that you say that, because that's kind of what it was. I had 2 other podcasts at the time. I still have 2 other podcasts at the time, but I was really just inundated with those 2 shows with heavy topics. And, you know, I looked around the podcasting world, and I thought, there's not really a whole lot of funny out there when it comes to fictional stuff. Big fan of Night Vale here, and I really love that type of humor. And I was, you know, in the middle of doing some home improvement projects with a project which shall not be named, shoveling like shoveling like acres worth of, or yards. That's right, you don't call them acres. Yards worth of dirt, and I was just thinking, I want to do something that's fun. The folks who know my other show know that it can be fun at times, but there's just a lot of heavy in that. So I wanted to do something that was fun, and I just had this epiphany, which I, you know, because we have all signed a pact in blood to not give away too much tonight, I had this epiphany, what if some of this stuff happened? How funny would that be to build a show around? And I literally, stopped work, and I pulled up my phone, went to the Atheist on Air group, the secret group, and I just said, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Anybody interested? And I got inundated with people who said, hey, that would be cool, let me try. Brian was one of them right out of the bat, and I didn't really know Brian at that time. I just thought, you know, he was just some stalker, because the dude was always stalking me. It was ridiculous. It was a little funny, to be honest. And I was pleased. It's grown a lot since that idea back in April, May time frame. It's been a long time brewing now. But yeah, the world needs something funny, and there's plenty of funny out there. I don't want to make it sound like there's not. But I thought, you know, fictional funny. Let's just make something up and see where it goes. And I've been really pleased with what we've created so far. This group here, and there's a group behind the scenes that's not able to make it, and some new people on board that really, they're really talented, and it's really neat for me because we're just a bunch of regular people. You know, we don't have Hollywood behind us pimping our podcast to make sure it gets on the front page of iTunes. It's just normal folks trying to make the world a little more fun, make people smile a little bit more.
So can everybody? Yeah.
Are you trying to get that hometown feel?
Yeah.
I want to know if everybody could like introduce their characters, and let's start with Jay, and then work our way over.
Well, Rick Beckley is kind of a narcissistic. He thinks he's much bigger than he is. I normally make it a point to kind of cover the more minor stories of the show, but he thinks they're the big stories, and most of the time there's not even stories there. And he's just a very conceited person, very narcissistic, very stupid, and it's me to a T, so it's pretty easy.
I think listeners of the show are going to find that Rick has some endearing qualities that they're going to fall in love with Rick. So Jay's a real modest guy, but Rick, not so modest, but you're still going to end up loving him.
I like that. So Deb, what about your anchor, co-anchor character?
Yeah, she's super duper saccharine sweet happy all the time. So that's a little bit of a challenge to keep up on a long-term basis, especially when, I have to play off of Paul. But it's an interesting experience, and like you say, having to pretend to be an American makes it challenging. And yeah, I get a kick though out of maintaining that sort of high-octane happy all the time, because that's kind of where the humor comes in, is where, it's like, we're really not safe, wow, kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And I write another character as well, who's like a lady who loves all manner of woo. So you won't see, you'll see her in episode 2. So I won't talk very much about her, but I do write another one, and that one's really fun because I actually have some past experience with that sort of thing, strangely enough. So that I can draw on some like actual experience to come up with.
Oh yeah, the Ghost Hunter experience.
That, and I tried some other woo-ish things as well, and as a ghost hunter we used to hang out with like psychics and stuff, so you can imagine the things that I've seen, or people wanted me to see.
You've seen things you don't.
Well, one lady believed that if we stared at her long enough that she would morph into someone else, and like we would see that. Didn't happen.
Just wondering.
Yeah, no. And it was funny because she seemed very surprised when I kept saying, nope, didn't see anything, sorry. What? You didn't see him? Like, nope, sorry.
And Brian, with approximately 43 minutes to go, I think we can probably cover all the characters you play, right?
Yeah, it depends. Are we going to go alphabetically? Because I didn't have time. So. I don't know. You want to do the 3 main guys, I guess. Max and Andy are brothers. They love weather. More so, they love meteorology, and I think they're really just in it for the UFO sightings. They like to get paid for those UFO sightings. They're both a bit crazy. They fall into the woo stuff, like Deb's character she was talking about. The GMO stuff, to Bigfoot, to aliens, to government cover-ups, to jet fuel not burning steel in the Twin Towers. Everything. And then Artie is a sports reporter. Artie's voice is not inspired by me. He's hated by me. But Artie's no knowledge of sports whatsoever is completely inspired by me. That one's authentic. And my wife is over there and just heard me mention the name Artie, and she's scowling at me. That's how loved Artie is in this house. Yeah, he's a goofball. He really wants to be good, but he doesn't know what he's doing. He's got a heart of gold.
He does. Artie's a good, and for, as like an exclusive to your audience, Zach, Artie kind of was an accident. When Brian, expressed interest in this, again, I knew Brian, I just didn't know how talented he was. So I said, okay, I'm going to give you half an hour or whatever it is. Here's your scenario. Come up with something and show me what you've got. And I gave him a sports scenario because I'm a sports guy. And he said, I don't know a thing about sports, but let me try it. And then he came. I don't remember, Brian. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but within that half an hour, he came back with Artie doing some reporting from the field, and it was classic from the get-go. There's nothing like hearing a sports guy who doesn't sport to report on sports. It's a beautiful thing.
Is it a sports ball, and what was the score? How do you keep score in hacky sack? I think that was a good
Heart of gold.
line there.
I think it's something about counting the deadlocks. I'm not 100% on that.
And Paul, you're the anchor, literally and figuratively.
That is correct. I'm the anchor. I am Jake Lemingstein. Me and Jake are we're brothers from another mother. Jake has an interesting perspective on the world. Jake, there's a little bit of me and Jake, but he's partners with Beatrice, Deb's character, and we play nicely off each other. We're kind of like that brother and sister thing, that love-hate relationship. But Jake's got a very unique way to look at the world, which listeners will start to get to see a little bit more of as season 1 progresses here. Jake kind of opens up a little more. It's post-apocalyptic world. He kind of loosens the necktie a little bit and isn't necessarily so ready to conform with what maybe you would expect out of a newscaster. Kind of shows its true colors a little bit more as the world and the story unfolds.
And let's talk about the story as I show my A. This was Deb's gift to me when we were at ReasonCon together. So maybe one of these days there'll be a live reading of like an Atheist Apocalypse show. That'd be pretty awesome. Get on it, conference people. If you want to be ahead of the curve, that's what you do. So how do you split up the writing duties on this show? Does everybody kind of write their own character, or it's like, hey, I want to write this other character, but I'm not quite ready to do the actual speaking part?
Well, the thing to keep in mind is we released episode 1 obviously yesterday. The apocalypse began, but we have finished all the way through 4. So we're still very, very much new to feeling each other out, to kind of understand how this is going to work effectively. But essentially, I've got an entire season planned out. Everybody knows what it is, and then I go out and I kind of script out a lot of the episode, and I hand it off to everybody, and I get out of their way, because with these folks, I don't have to get in their way. I just ask them, go live your character. Here's kind of what's going to happen, and let's see what happens with your character. And they come back with gold. They really do. It's a beautiful thing to actually watch happen. So there's really not like a formal process more than, hey, here's where the season's going to go. Here's this episode, what it looks like. Go have some fun with it. And then, like any smart person does, you get the hell out of people's way and just let them be creative, and they'll surprise you.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. I mean, I kind of wait for Paul will go in and build a skeleton for an episode, and I'll go through and read it a couple times, and we all, just go through and do edit suggestions, and then kind of get a better feel once people start plugging in a little bit of their segments. And then it all just everybody kind of finishes around the same time. So it's working really well so far. I like it.
Deb, Jake, anything else to add on your writing duties?
Well, luckily for me, I don't have to write Beatrice. I just show up and make it sound good.
Make her
Yes, alive! With my secondary character, generally, there's like as Paul said, like the bones of the episodes kind of planned out way ahead. So I'll just go and see like, what's the main gist of the episode, and I'll pick something for her to talk about, because she's a blogger that reads her blog on the radio. Go figure. Hey, it's the post-apocalypse, weird shit happens. So that's what she does, and so I can just kind of grab like a theme from what's going to. I don't even have to really know exactly what's going to happen necessarily. I can just kind of play off it. And she doesn't live in the same exact area as some of the other characters too, so she can kind of do her own thing to a certain degree.
And Jay, what about Rick and his storytelling?
Rick, I enjoy writing for Rick. I'm really starting to enjoy acting as Rick, which I didn't really. I remember telling Paul one time that I had like the voice for silent movies and the face for radio, but. Because I had this character in mind that I really wanted to do, just kind of like a kind of reporter that kind of messed up a lot, but still thought he was like the best reporter ever out there. And then Paul came back and asked me if I can do the voice too, and I was like, no, I can't do the voice. First of all, I don't have any equipment. Second of all, I don't think I could. And he asked me again one time if it was just a matter of not having the equipment, and I said, well, yeah, I don't have anything really to record on. So the next thing I know, I got a mic sent to me by, I think, Brian, and off I was recording. And it was very uncomfortable. It took me forever to do episode 1. You probably might even be able to tell in the episode that I'm still nervous. And that was the actual best one. I think I recorded it, and I think that was still the best cut I had. But he's actually starting to grow on me now that I've done more. I've written more and I've acted more. He's starting to come into his own, and I feel more comfortable doing it, which is really cool because I don't know how much we're supposed to talk about, but I know the last two I recorded with, I actually got to do with my wife, so that was really entertaining because she used to always be like, how hard can this be? Just do it. And I was like, all right. And watching her mess up the first couple times was hilarious.
Yep.
And I gotta say, Zach, just because you've been kind enough to give us a little bit of time to kind of talk about the show and what we're doing, that's the charm that I think really will resonate with people that who give it a chance. Is you got a story like Jay, and he's not kidding. He was not going to get on a mic. There was no way I was going to get him on a mic, and we again, this was months in planning before we actually launched. And he came around, and like he said, he's got his wife jumping in, and you're gonna meet them very soon, and you'll meet her very soon too. And that's kind of the charm. Is again, you've got just regular folks who are putting this entire project together, and each episode is a monumentous effort. It really is, but it's a lot of fun. But the beauty in it is to watch somebody like Jay and his wife, mom and dad couple, full-time workers who go create stuff and then they bring it to life for other people. Whereas, I'm going to throw the challenge out there. There are other folks out there, they do this professionally. They've got a professional studio they drive to. They write their scripts all day, etc. So when you do come across, when listeners do come across Atheist Apocalypse and give it a chance, I love having us measured against the big boys, but it's really cool to watch us be measured against big boys while remembering that we're just like everybody else. And just a little bit, maybe a little more silly to actually try to bring this thing to life.
Well, I think as someone who's actually, I'm ahead of everybody else, at least for the next few days, I've heard the first two episodes. I really think the sound is great, and I got the background music sound going on. And sure, maybe people are occasionally nervous when doing their lines, but I think it's a well-produced show, and a lot of shows like mine aren't so much that. So that's something that's obviously appreciated, especially for the sound Nick types like Paul, who could only accept a certain level of quality.
Right, damn it.
So you each just record separately and send him your audio? Is that how it kind of works?
Well,
yep.
All the credit for that. You've heard the first two episodes. That's kind of the drug deal that we did to steal an episode from you. Was I gave you both episodes. But I got to give a shout out to Jason Camo. Some of you may know him from Atheist on Air. Those of you who know my other two shows, you know that he does all the music on those shows with very few exceptions. Very talented guy. He did the graphics, like when you go to our website or our Facebook page and you've got that desert scene, that's all Jason's creation. A very creative guy. Perfectionist. That's why you get so much quality out of episode 1 and 2, because the dude did not leave any detail untouched. But that's basically what we did.
I was going to say, ask me how many times I recorded episode 3.
Yeah, no, that's the funny thing. Thank you. My creative partner just brought me another homebrew, so we're good to go for the rest of this interview now. But that's basically what we do is we record WAV files and we would dump it into a Dropbox and step back. Now, for me, I get moving on and write ahead so everybody else has a fair chance to write. But that's kind of how it happens. And Jason just went off into whatever hole producers go into, and when he came back to us out of the hole, you've got that final product, which is absolutely amazing.
It was comedy gold. He even made us sound funny and everything.
I didn't think that was possible. So can we talk about the other characters on the show and then some of the other people who are regulars and, of course, guest stars who couldn't make it tonight, like the famous and mustachioed Nick Morgan Moore, who could never hide behind a pop mic like I can.
Yeah, I was really pleased. Like I said, when I sent out this recruitment letter, if you will, I asked just general. And I was very surprised by the response that I got and the people that I got, and Nick was one of them. He, like a lot of us, is looking for something with a little more levity. Those of us in the community, in the atheist podcaster community, we talk about such heavy stuff constantly. It does wear on us. It's not just as easy as putting a mic in your face and publishing an episode and walking away. You've got all that pre-work that happens. You're reading all these stories that sometimes can be really depressing and heavy. So Nick was one of those folks who said, "Hey, I want to do some of this." He does his show with Jake down in there in Australia, Imaginary Friends show, and then they've got a new show called Good Advice. So he's already doing 2 shows, but he wanted to be part of this too. And I was honored to have him along, to have him throw in the bits that he does. He comes on as Kelly Muttersea, who's, I don't want to speak for Nick, but Kelly is for the viewers and the listeners who are a little long in the tooth. Kelly is kind of like the Maury Povich of 80s and 90s talk show television. He's over the top. He's annoying. He's grating. He's just where you fall in love with Rick because of his endearing qualities. Then you've got Kelly in your face, and you're kind of like, I love this guy. He's funny, but I hate him at the same time. And Nick can pull it off like a charm. And the thing about Nick is, whereas I've got to script all this stuff out and think about it, blah, 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 Nick gets into the studio with Jake. They go do their Imaginary Friends show episode, and then they hang out afterwards, and Nick just talks. And what you hear in the episodes is the stuff that just falls out of his brain. It's absolutely amazing. I wish I could do stuff like that.
I liken it to kind of a Baron Munchausen kind of character, too. Especially since he's flying around in his blimp.
The blimp is great. I want a blimp. I think that's how Nick should travel to America, is on a blimp. And we can make that happen.
I think he's working on it. Isn't he working on it? Yeah.
And the whole bit with spiders was not
or something? I don't
fake.
remember.
Yeah, and my other character is going to be voiced by another lovely Australian, Donna, and she does Big Chesticles podcast as well. And so she's going to be voicing Venice. Like I say, folks won't know her yet because she comes out next episode. But yeah, we've got some nice Aussie talent out there, and Donna really brings the character to life because she like myself used to dabble in some of the woo, so she understands where the character comes from, and she really does a good job of it.
And we've got Jason does some voicing for us as well as Tyler. We've got a Frenchman on board. Believe it or not, we actually did that. We brought a Frenchie.
No. He's a Canadian Frenchie. Get it straight.
That's right. How dare me?
It's because he's from my neck of the woods. So, and he's very quick to remind people that he's from Ontario first.
Who we're talking about is Joseph Schomburg, Atheist on Air fans who go to those pages will probably have seen him post in the past. They've been exposed to him. I believe, Deb, correct me if I'm wrong, but he makes regular appearances on Holy Crap.
Yeah, he's one of my fellow panelists on Holy Crap, so he's a regular.
Okay, so he's a great guy, and he gives us a lot of field research for our for any of the future episode storylines that happen to deal with Europe. So he's a great inside resource.
Absolutely. And we are going to corner the market on mustaches because Joseph's mustache is equally good as Nick's.
Ooh, that's a mustache off right there.
Yes, in fact, the two of them mustache tips regularly.
They like to touch tips, is what she's saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Ghostbusters of the Across the Stream. If they touched, the world would explode.
That's right. Yeah.
They cannot be allowed to be in the same room. It cannot happen unless we see Zool show up, and all bets are off. Well, Brian, where can I find a chemtrail filter? I feel like you You can help me with that.
You can find instructions for those on YouTube. I think Max and Andy could probably send you links to chemtrail filters. I think vinegar and charcoal is basically.
I was going to say, I heard vinegar was the way to go.
Yeah, I think there's like a sprayer of vinegar right above the filter. It's basically a rain bucket with vinegar in it.
So you just pepper spray yourself in the face and you're set. I like that.
Well, you wouldn't be able to see the chemtrail anymore at that point. This is for sure.
And as we know, if you can't see it, it can't see you. So
that's right.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
That's good. Jay, what are you drinking tonight? It seems like you got a good quality beverage on your side. Oh, he's gotten paused on us.
No, that's just Jay. He's perpetually happy. That's what
I see that.
I think the glue's set. Yeah, the glue's set.
If you're gonna go, you should go with a smile on your face. Yeah, that's good. So I can't do his voice for him. Well, actually, I'm drinking a.
Oh, now
early IPA. There's back. You lost him for a second.
Clear.
Poor Jay, man.
All he does is go back to it. All right, so 3, 2, 1. Jay, what you drinking tonight?
Tea.
Tea?
That was
Yeah.
anticlimactic there.
Never seen anybody chug tea out of like a 40-ounce mug. It's pretty badass right there.
I could go and get my other drinking vessel, but I think this is a family show.
No, you can certainly curse on this thing. I just usually let other people do it first. Actually, I don't know. There's rare cursing on Atheist Apocalypse, so are you going for the explicit tag? I know people get a little worried about hitting that or not.
Here's my approach with this. Okay, we'll get deep for a second. Atheist Apocalypse is for all of us to have a lot of fun, for the writers and the creators and the voices, but it's also for everybody else to have a little bit of fun. This is for your viewers and your listeners. This is nobody's safe. It doesn't matter if you're a believer, an atheist, or someone who just doesn't give a damn. No one's safe. We like to look at pop culture, look at the ridiculousness of pop culture, and then zero in on that. But in doing so, I've got this evil plot to take over the world, and I want to expose children to our thought and our thought process. I want to indoctrinate them, is what I'm saying. So we try our hardest to avoid the explicit tag because I want the family at the Disney World wave pool to have this on their iPod player for 100 people to be listening to at one time. So if we're aiming for that, sometimes we'll succeed, but look at this gaggle you've got. Sometimes we're gonna fail too. But look at that guy over there on the left, all the way over there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Got some good faces going tonight, yeah. So what made you decide? One of my issues, of course, is I said, hey, I'm just going to use my name, Zachrilege, as my, and that's a very hard thing to spell, and it's very poor to market. So what's the deal? Because you were like, I'm going to do a show, and it's not going to be explicitly about atheism, but I'm going to put atheist in the title. What's that all about?
Oh, you're asking a hard question, and it's a hard question because the response has been immediate. We've got very positive response, and those of you who know my other show, the response we've got is completely opposite from what I got when I launched that one. This has been really encouraging. But one of the things I've been explicitly told by people asking questions is please don't give away anything. I want to live it as you guys release episodes. So I'm going to try to be very careful, and it's not to avoid your question. But there's I'll tell your viewers, listeners this. There's a very deliberate reason why it's named Atheist Apocalypse, which we hope will do justice to the listener and create a story for them that will lead them to that conclusion on their own. How is that for a teaser? Boy, that's cruel of me. That's like their hashtag blue balls moment right there.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in and be the honest one here. This is really what happens. Paul decided to read a dictionary, and he saw that aardvark had 2 A's, and it was in the front of the dictionary. So he figured if he could get AA podcast on Twitter, we were good. We're at the front of the Twitter.
Aardvark fans are very disappointed right now. But of course, we're giving away a major plot point in episode 4, right? So let's not go there.
Actually, that's Rick's part, so we'll just throw that on to Jay.
We know who's really behind this.
Jay's behind everything. Don't let him fool you.
But you do have an arc already planned. How many episodes are we getting for season 1, or has that not been determined yet?
No, we've actually outlined 3 seasons already. Each season will consist of 10 episodes. So the folks who go and listen to episode 1 and go, hey, this isn't bad. What you'll find in episode 2, I believe. Now everybody can disagree with me if they choose to. I believe episode 2 is where the story really gets going, and we kind of find our groove in that. So there's going to be 10 episodes. So after season 1, we're gonna leave you like all those cruel bastards in Hollywood do. We're gonna leave you with something for you to chew on, and then we're gonna walk away and tease you for a little bit, and then come right back into season 2 because we're ready to go. We're starting to find our groove. But yeah, we've got 3 seasons already outlined.
So we're looking at a cliffhanger for the end of season 1?
Maybe.
Maybe. It's like
I see your cliffhanger and I raise you 2 cliffhangers.
Like watching Buffy. Who's the big bad in season 1? Are we going to get that character?
And one of the neat things, I want to give an early shout out to a couple folks. We've gone, as with all beautiful things, we've gone through a transitionary phase early on in our life, and we've already experienced that. But we do have some new folks joining us on the creative staff, so I'm really excited about what's going to happen for the show. We've got season 1, 2, and 3 planned out, but there may be some significant changes as we go through this process. And the neat thing is we don't even know. Brian thinks he knows, but Brian, he created Artie. So, seriously, how much confidence can you really have in somebody who creates Artie and brings Artie to life?
Hey, Paul, sidebar. Hey, I've barely read episode 5. I have no idea what the story arc is, so.
Uh-oh, he's not feeling it. You gotta feel it as the character. I think that's how it works. So you're gonna do something like down the road, when the show becomes a huge hit, as it may already be. Are you gonna get people to donate to actually be a character on the show, or get skewered possibly on the show?
That's genius. Somebody write that down, please. God, I don't have anything to jot down.
With Mahid.
And like I said, kind of going back to that comment I made about my other podcast that I've got out there. This one I've actually probably within the last less than a day had 3 or 4 people send in suggestions. The response has been awesome. It really has, as far as positive response with people who have some ideas. Not every idea is a good idea or is not necessarily where we want to go with it, but there are folks who are offering some suggestions. And let me state it publicly here. We're not opposed to hearing from the folks who actually fall in love. This is the way I look at it. If you fall in love with the show, if you love Max and Andy, Artie, Beatrice, Venice, Rick, all the characters, and you are interested in their lives and what happens to them, we are not opposed to you sending us an email. All you have to do is go to atheistapocalypse.com. There's a contact tab out there on that website, and you can send us a nice little email and share your thoughts. And we just may bring, who knows, you could become a superstar like Jay. 2 months ago, Jay was going to hide in the northeast of America and work his life away. And in a couple of months, him and I have already got plans of which neighborhood in L.A. we're going to buy our mansions in. Overlook this. Brian said he's not moving, though. That's our controversy. So there may be a breakup in the Atheist Apocalypse team.
Yeah, I'm still not moving.
You had me at no snow, so.
Yeah, I didn't worry about you, Deb. I knew you would buy that one in a second. I just cast that line out there. We're all over it.
Yeah, I was wondering when the cast was going to go on strike and demand a raise. You know.
Yeah, it's like double of nothing is still nothing last time.
I would like 2 beers per episode. Not in cans, in bottles. Thank you. That's all. At least 5% alcohol.
We have a, Paul, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we do have a couple celebrities on in your episodes, ex-politicians and the like.
I mean, we've got the Emperor of California. I mean, what other Not only are we the first ever fictional comedy secular podcast, or here, let me give you the official phrase. We are the first fictional comedy podcast for reason in the world, but we've got the Emperor of California out there. How many other people can say that?
Not too many.
You should tell them a bit about Nelly and Bittersweets too.
Yeah, we and oh, thank you. Actually, Deb, I'm glad you said that. So because it is the evening and my brain shuts down at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We do have other folks that have stepped forward, wanted to be part of this at first asking, and Lucy D is one of those folks. A lot of folks might know her around the Facebooks, but she came forward she brought Nelly Negapositive to life. And Lucy, please forgive me when you watch this. I didn't mean to forget about you, but she has done a very bang-up job on actually taking a concept and bringing that person to life. Again, one of the more awesome things of this podcast. And I got to give Stephanie Jones some love publicly because she's going to kill me if I don't. But Nelly Negapositive happened because Stephanie and I were just having a sidebar conversation and about what we saw in the atheist community, and Nelly Negapositive was born, which is what has happened with a lot of these characters that you're going to meet. They are inspired by the world that all of us see around us. On both sides on all sides of the fence. And I made a comment on my personal Facebook page a couple weeks ago, and it was genuinely honest. There are some people I keep in my Facebook friends list simply because they provide material for me for Atheist Apocalypse. That's their sole purpose in some of their posts. And Nellie's one of my, definitely one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I had a feeling Stephanie was involved because she seems to be involved in about half the shows as well. There are people around who they're always around, and they may actually be on shows, but you're like, I see them everywhere, which is good because we need these people to keep it going.
I don't know what.
If there are any podcasters that do want to be part of the Atheist Apocalypse, all you got to do is send me an email, and I've got a little proposal for you where you can actually be part of the Atheist Apocalypse itself, and maybe get your back scratched as well on that. We've got Atheist Nomads is our first one that's actually going to be part of it. Dustin and Wes over there at Atheist Nomads. And Dustin really surprised me. You would be amazed how creative people can be when you kind of when you really corner them and say, okay, here's your parameters, now go create something. And Dustin did a bang-up job on that. I think they're episode 7.
Like a promo, or are they actually part of the show?
They're part of the show in a promo format. So how's that for an answer?
So different kind of promo. Hey, you have to stick around and listen, people. We're not going to tell you everything. We're not going to put, draw it out, on paper so clearly like they do in Lost. No, we're going to leave some questions unanswered, and hopefully you don't do what they did on Lost. Just, personal thing.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Everybody ends up in a church at the last episode of Atheist Apocalypse, and everybody's dead.
It's a dream. No, it's a dream.
No, it's a vision. It's an angelic.
Although I like the idea of putting together every really bad series finale into one, like the end of Dexter and some shows I've seen. They're just like, oh, it was so bad.
Like The Sopranos.
It's either got to be really bad or really good. Otherwise, it's not memorable. I think that's the way it should be.
Yep. Absolutely.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think I've got to say one of the more entertaining aspects of this entire experience has just been, just the chats that we have on the side. We do all the creating of the scripts and whatnot and bringing these characters to life, but we've got a private chat where all the creators are it's just our bullshit area. It's where we just go to make stupid comments and whatnot, and some of the funniest stuff that I've ever seen comes out of those comments. It's really good for the creative process. And then Brian gets involved, and it kind of just kills all the momentum. But besides that, up until that point...
Brian, the human speed bump. Brian, you can... Okay, it's your chance. You can get a shot back if you want.
No, it's all right. I'm a bigger man. Literally, I'm like 300 pounds.
Yeah, he could kill you with his breath. It's hard to get a rejoinder on someone who's doing 12 different podcasts. They're talking all the time. It's a podcast. Paul is asleep and just talking in his sleep. That's a podcast. There you go.
Oh, he's not allowed to have any more podcasts.
Oh, really? You've been cut off?
I think we solved it, though, or he solved it, because I went into our drive the other day, and in the audio files for samples, there was just a loop of Paul talking to himself. So he must listen to that so he can hear the sound of his own voice, and it satiates him. So I think that's good. I think he's growing as a person.
You don't want to know what he does with that audio. Well, let's get around the horn one more time, and everybody just talk. Maybe one last thing about your character, what you have, maybe a little hint about what's coming in the future, and just your experience of being on the show. Jay, what you got?
I'm actually glad that I was actually talked into it because I'm having so much fun with it, and now that my wife's on board too, I think the last 2 episodes we recorded together it's just so hilarious. I remember like the first episode I recorded, like I said, I did it like 10 times, and even some of those 10 times I would have quote-unquote outtakes. But instead of laughing about the outtake, I would get upset because I kept thinking, this whole thing it's got the potential to be such a great thing, and I'm gonna be the one dragging everybody down. I didn't think it was coming off really good, or my part, anyways. Get like really upset about it, and now
It's Mr. Buck.
Hey, no.
And even haven't heard.
Is that a secret government message talking over Jay?
Yes.
You should record that part, and that should be background noise. All right, Jay, you're cutting out a little bit there. You're talking about the many takes you took and how you wanted to get it right, and it's a struggle, but I'm guessing you persevered. That's just the happy ending is right there.
Oh yeah, I'm happy.
Sorry, bud. I don't know you, man, and I haven't heard you record other stuff. So I got to listen to you when Jay turned around episode 1 for us, and you could have fooled me. The character, how we envisioned him, and your voice came out kind of perfectly. So stop telling people you don't know what they're doing.
I'm loving it.
That's right. Own your character and own that beard. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
So, Deb, talk about your journey.
Well,
what it's like to work with Paul once again.
Once again, I know it's like the only other person who does more podcasting than me, and he's like, "Hey, you need another podcast?" Sure I do. But he's at least this one. I don't have to do anything other than like show up and say stuff. Like he gets to take care of how it all gets to put together and editing and all that crap. So for me, that's kind of like a holiday in a way. Which is nice, and it's fun to be able to do some writing on the side because I haven't really done a lot of comedic writing, so it's kind of a new thing for me too. if anybody ever looks at my Facebook page, I'm all like talking about social issues and political stuff. So it's kind of a nice departure. And as I say, acting in a character that's like perpetually cheerful, not my thing. I'm like, former goth girl, so to be like, woo, everything's all bright and sunshine and happiness all the time. Yeah, it's not my usual thing, so that's a little bit of an adventure as well. And it's funny because it doesn't take all that long to go through the part, but when you do it, a couple of times and you're like super energetic afterwards, it's just like, oh my god. Okay, time for a nap. But it's all worth it when it comes out, and it's fun, and it's dynamic, and it makes people laugh. And that's the important part, I think. So because I don't write Beatrice, so I never know what she's going to be up to until I get the stuff to record. So it's kind of like opening a present every time. It's like, ooh, what's she going to do now? All right. So there's some interesting things coming up in the next couple episodes that I know I was a little like, she's gonna what? So look forward to that, because I think Beatrice herself is going to be a little bit surprised.
Definitely. So Brian, what you had?
I really like working on this project. It's a lot of fun. I like chatting with these folks. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I enjoy raising my kids, and I have a lot of fun with them. But sometimes it's fun to just engage my brain in a whole different creative direction. And it's been a lot of fun doing the voices and stuff. Yeah, and, I read books to my kids, and I do voices for all the characters. So yeah, I'm excited. I enjoy it.
You are the person behind the celebrity voices in the promo, right? That's all you?
Does it sound like one person?
Well, is it true or is it Memorex?
No, it's all
You don't
me.
give away anything, people. Come on, just a little anyway.
Yeah, it's all me. Yeah.
Yep.
So Paul is like director, and I know you don't write everything, but do you get like upset if people don't read their lines exactly as written?
You know what? You kind of asked this, this closer question, and I'll respond to that with the closer question. The greatest joy that I've got, I needed something fun. I really did. My other podcast is great, love it, but I needed something different. I was fortunate enough to have a bunch of people who said, you know what, that sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I want in. And like I said earlier, one of the neat things is just to get out of their way and let them create, and people will surprise you. And in my head, I know I've got wonderful ideas, clever ideas, but I also know I don't have all the answers. And when I step back and just, get out of, like Jay, I don't want to pimp him up too much, but from where he was kind of like, yeah, I'll kind of write, but that's all I'm going to do, to where he is, we're all the way through episodes 4 and 5. It's been awesome to watch that. To get to see Brian be Brian from social media to this guy that has a repertoire of like 30 ridiculous voices. It's absolutely amazing to be able to be part of that with somebody. And Deb does 2 other podcasts with me, so I figured we'd go with a trifecta, and just round it off to 3, right? Yeah, we gotta have the trifecta. So that's the satisfaction I get out of it. And the neat thing is that we get to talk about all these things that we see in the world in a fun way. And isn't that kind of what the world needs right now anyways? We stop othering everybody, that group, and we actually look at how ridiculous all of us are, and then we move past that. And that's one of the neat things that all of these people over here and the folks who are going to be joining us as part of the writing team, that's what we're doing. We're helping each other laugh. I can laugh at me very easily. This podcast is going to be able to do that. Help people laugh at the ridiculousness, and let's move past it. As a community, as a global community, let's just friggin' laugh at each other. This is stupid, and let's have a little bit of fun. This is the only life we've got. Let's enjoy it while we're here. Because the apocalypse is already here.
Yes, it is. And tell everybody where they can find the show.
They can go to our website, atheistapocalypse.com, facebook.com/atheistapocalypse, and on Google Plus, we just got the URL yesterday. They just, I'm an old Catholic boy, so they just blessed us with that vanity URL, so Atheist Apocalypse out there. And on Twitter, all the cool names were already taken, so it's at AA Podcast Show. And one day after the apocalypse, we broke over 1,000 followers on Twitter. So thank you, Twitter community.
Thank you, twats.
That's pretty darn impressive. So, finally, in conclusion, this is the Zachrilege Cast, the one true show that needs your support. Help me out on a per-episode basis at patreon.com/Zachrilege. Teodi, part of the Atlanta Atheist clan, is a new supporter, and I could kiss the man. Also, give love to Bobby C. of No Religion Required, newly minted senior citizen, and Hugh Man, who could obliterate you in karaoke but chooses not to. Do you see Paul's gold-plated mic that he just painted over? We're already giving him money, and he's spending it well. Well, I'll spend it weller. So find me on Twitter, Facebook, and gosh darn it, like me on iTunes as well. Everything will be included in the show notes, so you can find Atheist Apocalypse and find me, of course. So once again, I'd like to say thanks to Jay, to Deb, to Brian, and of course Paul for coming on and giving Atheist Apocalypse a little bit of an introduction. Go to iTunes, find the show. You're going to enjoy it, and you're going to be scared of spiders one more time. So we will say thank you, everybody, and stay apocalyptic.